What's going on, Nate? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you again, brother. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It is a wonderful Sunday evening here in Alabama. It's opening day of opening weekend of deer season.
Oh,
So,
got you. Yeah, same here in Ohio.
oh yeah, so we've been out chasing them hard, and my dad killed a doe, and another member of our group killed a big buck with his daughter, and so we got a lot of that on film, and so I'm going to be I flew over it with my drone, and it just tells a fun story, so I got to put all that stuff together. And yeah, so we're here we're gonna talk about politics tonight in a way.
Oh
Have
my God, no, not politics.
it's neat that there's nowhere that you can go and talk politics. You actually are not you can't talk about it at church, you can't talk about it at work, you can't talk about it at the event out in the rec center, you can't talk about it at the community pool, you can't talk about it at the pool hall because you can't talk about it anywhere. But so I made Marshall in the Middle back in 2016, and that's where we're at. This is something that I'm calling Heroes Now. And so we're talking about topical stuff, and I'm here with author and Master Sergeant retired Nathan Aguinaga, and he's a stud. He's a buddy of mine. He's a jump master. We've run our dens together, he and I. He understands what that
Yes,
82nd
sir.
flag is about and stuff. And I'm
Yes,
his
sir.
biggest fan. I've got all of his books. Not all of them. As a matter of fact, I guess there's two more now. What the heck, dude? You just your little pearls are just writing.
I just
But
tell my stories, man.
this is one term.
One
This
term,
was Go ahead.
uh, one term, a current day political assassination. But now, let me be fair. When I wrote that like because we all know that Donald Trump was actually, current day was actually they tried to assassinate him. I wrote this book came out 4 years ago when he lost the election in 2020.
Right.
So when I put a current day political assassination, I meant then as he was going up uphill battle, and the Democratic Party and the Department of Justice and Hollywood and the elites were trying to take him down, and that's why I put that that title in that book. But to be honest with you, it actually happened during this cycle of him going into the next uh, category of being president for the second time, his second term. You know, uh,
So
go ahead.
so tell me about. Okay, so we did the show, and we're like, we hope Trump wins, but we ran out of gas before we like waited around for it, right?
Right,
Then
right.
we texted and talked the next day, and we were both very happy. And we've watched all the stuff that's happened recently. We've got all of these cabinet level appointments. We're watching the Doge show up. We're watching people freak out about the Department of Education that they're threatening to just get rid of.
Yeah.
Uh, all the teacher unions. I mean, you're a teacher, so there's lots of things to talk about. So do me a favor and say, give me the one over the world. What happened the next morning? You found out that Trump was elected, and so now take me from there, Nate.
Hey, he was elected, and I'll be honest with you. I went to sleep when I found out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Actually, I went to sleep at midnight on my couch, and then I woke back up at 2 o'clock when I heard that it was confirmed that he was going to be the 47th president of the United States. And then I woke back up and I started celebrating again. And then I stayed awake until 9 o'clock that very next morning, uh, same morning, whatever. But and then I took another nap until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. woke back up and started celebrating again. To be honest with you, it was cool, man. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get our country back, this and that. And I think we're in a positive position for our country. But I'm scared. I'm scared, Will. I'm scared because um, the outgoing administration has created a massive combat scenario in Eastern Europe that, to be honest with you, scares the shit out of me. And I hope we can sustain this until another month and a half, until President Trump becomes back and goes back in the White House.
One of the interesting things that came, I don't know, it just popped through my mind today was we may have to go some distance to stop what's happening right now with us shooting missiles back and forth to one another. Remember, at this level, this is not a soldier firing a missile. And this is not a leader even of a country firing a missile. You know what this is? This is some executive at Lockheed or some executive at whatever a Russian country is, deciding whether or not they can shoot and use their technology or not. It's really, they're testing these weapons against each other. When they're calling us and telling us, just, we all know that we could go nuke each other or bomb each other in any way we want, anytime, anywhere, but it would be considered a terrorist attack. All they're doing is just calling it in advance and saying, you got 30 minutes to get out of this building, or because we're about to level it. That's what they're doing. And it's just, it's again, it is executives at companies. It's at that level, because obviously Biden is not making this decision. Obviously Zelensky's not making this decision.
No.
Zelensky's it takes somebody at some level, right? Is Lloyd Austin the guy up there doing it? Right? I mean,
Who knows? At this point, who knows? Here's the scary question. He's out of here. Okay. Donald Trump was reelected as the 47th president of the United States. Okay. Approximately 3 weeks ago. And here's the scary part. What are they doing? Is this a game where it's like, hey, dude, you know what? We're gonna screw you on my way out of the White House, and we're gonna put you in a major bind of combat that you were supposed to take care of. If that's the case, then I'm scared shitless, because, dude, we can't have that. Seriously, what is that? Just why did he just go out? Why did Biden allow these missiles, these long range missiles, to be launched inside of Russian territory?
Biden was never in control.
I understand that.
So then you can't even say his name. Okay. Well, you have to say it, and that's the problem. Okay. We don't know if we wanted to stop it, we couldn't. If we were able to storm Congress and get it stopped, because Congress can't stop it. Okay. Congress goes in there and they, whatever they want, they're sending bill after bill after bill after. Nobody. There's no discussion about that with anybody. Nobody talks about it. It is not. I mean, it's just that we have no way to interject into the system. It is that broken, and that's why I'm glad that Donald Trump is here, and he's going to say to the defense contractor, "No more missiles, no more missiles," and at a minimum, the other thing that I like, and I'm going to tell you straight up, the people that are in charge of the air defense branch to this day in the Army were lieutenants that I trained.
Awesome.
So all these Patriots and all the JSAMs and all the different missile systems that they have going on now, the leaders of that, I know them. So I at least know that they're seeing the same things I'm seeing, or if they're not calling me saying, "Hey, Will, this is complete." No, you're missing it, dude. The issue is they can't say anything. They can't do anything. You know, I did an interview with one of my most beloved generals, and he quit at the 1-star level because he couldn't go any higher. And we're going to talk more about that, you know, as we go forward. The issue, in my opinion, is that we are fomenting war continually at every level. I think the next, if it's not stopped, and I think Trump can stop it. And it's not about Trump, okay? It's not about Trump. Here's what Trump brings. Trump brings finally the groundswell of thinkers, the groundswell of people that are great Americans instead of great politicians. They are all have enough money so that they can look at the establishment, Google, and the other things and say, "Hey, what? Oh, we shut. You know, look at what's happening with MSNBC, right? MSNBC is about to be rebranded.
What is it? What's the cable company?
I guess Comcast.
They're getting rid of them.
So okay, so let's think about that for a second. Okay, let's think about that. All right, so here we are, the most left-wing media outlet of the mainstream. Everybody knew it. They made no try to hide it. They didn't try to hide it at all. They thought they put all their eggs in the basket. And when there was such a groundswell, they were just like, well, well, I don't know what to do now. We've thrown it all at the wall, right? We've thrown it all at the wall. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just really wild.
You know what? When I saw the cabinet picks, 18 days, he's already got them all done, pretty much. I think there's 1 or 2 left. He's got 18 days. That was like historical of all his cabinet picks of any presidential inbound guy coming into the White House. Crazy. But they're going to go after Pete Hegseth, which is sad. But they're going to go after him, and they're already saying that inexperienced, underrated, a Fox News host, this and that. The reality of it is, this guy is a 20-year veteran, retired field grade officer with 2 combat deployments in the Middle East, a year deployment at Guantanamo Bay, understands the entire Middle Eastern and Jerusalem situation. He's done several shows just studying on Israel. I mean, the guy's a Ivy League graduate, you know, for his bachelor's and his master's degree. I don't understand. And you know what the reality of it is? They say he's unqualified. You know why they say that? Because he's not a regular 4-star retired general who's been in the Pentagon for 20 years, you know, or 30, 40 years. You know, he's out of that league. So that's why they say he's unqualified. So it's going to be interesting to see his hearings, his Senate hearings when it comes up here in the next several weeks. It'll come up. It's going to be interesting.
So what are you most excited about?
Oh my God, everything. I'm so excited that I mean everything. Every cabinet member, Tom Hogan, my God, dude, just closing our border down. I mean, just everything you would expect as an American citizen, man, just for your freedoms. That's all. I mean, it's nothing special. This is basic stuff, man. You know, Tom Hogan down there at the southern border, uh, closing it down and saying that we're gonna deport the biggest uh, deportation operation in American history. It's historical. I mean, that alone to me is exciting just to see it happen. I mean, look at even the agriculture. I mean, Donald Trump keeps coming every day with all these new cabinet members. You know, the agricultural cabinet member he just picked today. She's a female. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but her actual degree was in agriculture, and she was big on you know taking care of farmers and all that shit, man. That's what we need, dude.
So do me a favor, be a sage person and think 10 years in the future, okay? So January we have a change of leadership. They said by a certain point the next year, I don't remember what it was it July the 4th, they were going to put out the Doge plan or whatever for 2025? Was it that? And then and then a few years later, 10 years down the road, um, what changes do you see coming? What would utopia look like from these changes in years to come? What sweeping things would we see? More privatization? Would we see less localization? Would we well, I mean, tell me what you think what we might see from all this.
We're going to see more money in our pocket. I'll tell you that right now, dude. And the reason I say that is because they're gonna clean out the Department of Education out of the federal government. Clean it out, man. Because you know what that is? The Department of Education is basically uh, $300 billion a year coming out of our taxpayers' income to pay for teacher unions is what it basically comes down to. Okay, wipe it out, and that's one of them is going to get wiped out, dude. They're going to wipe it out. They're going to give education back to the states with the parents, and the parents are going to be in charge of their children's education. Uh, the states and the counties, the local school districts are going to be in charge of the education. That's going to get wiped out. Uh, there's other stuff too, man. I mean, dude, I can go on and on. What they're already talking about, they're going to wipe out. Um, what's another one? What's another big one they just talked about the other day, man? There's another big one. I can't remember. It's education is one of them, but yeah, there's they're going to wipe out a lot of these. Oh, the federal employees that are working from home uh, that are part of Department of Defense. I'll give one example. They work in the Department of Defense, and they're going to be gone too. Unfortunately, they're going to wipe them out. What it is ever since COVID, they were working at home, and the uh, the new department that's coming in there to take care of that, with Wami Swami and Vivek, Wami Swami, and they're gonna knock that out. They're gonna get rid of them. If you want to work in Washington D.C. in the Department of Defense, then you're gonna have to get your clothes on in the morning, go to work, and go to the office, and have to work 8 hours a day in the office instead of working from home, or we're going to wipe your job out. I can go on and on, man. They're gonna wipe out a lot of the pork spending in Washington D.C. that us taxpayers have to pay for. It's
So
incredible.
So now tell me, so more money. So I agree. I agree. More freedom to be an entrepreneur and less regulations and things. I like that they're not worried about like Green New Deal, anything's with names on it. You notice they're not named, they don't come up with these big named plans. And this is no, they're gonna go figure out what's wrong and then go fix it at every level. I think that's awesome. That's a neat concept. I hope it follows through that way, and I think it will. I think that all of these people that get on the same page and come in with a mandate of the people have a great opportunity to make great change. And I agree. Get rid of a lot of that pork. We never in the Army shot less bullets one year than we shot the year before. We never used less toner in the printer one year than we used before. It went to burn it. As a matter of fact, it was, we'll make some more copies of this. Let's make sure we got to use this toner here. Or it just goes through all kinds of different levels where government makes itself bigger at every level, So tell me if you don't mind a little bit about how you think this thing, and maybe it's a two-part question, how you think that this election is going to affect your community and how you think it might affect you in a spiritual way. We've already identified that I believe that a lot of this is a miraculous kind of thing, and I'm watching a miracle happen around me with the ear and all the different things that have happened with all the celebrities, so to speak, that have gotten behind the thinkers that are behind Trump. Tell me tell me about how you might have a react both to the community and the spirituality kind of thing.
Well, within the community, that's easy. I live in a community in Northwest Ohio where a lot of my friends are fossil fuel industry workers. I mean, they work at oil refineries in Toledo, Findlay, Ohio, Marathon, BP. Uh, uh, I can go on and on. A lot of my close friends that they work in that industry, natural gas, AEP, and so of course they tell me straight up, from reality of their day to day life compared from 4 years ago to where they're at today. They're like, dude, man, it's not even comparable. As far as we're on the edge of losing our jobs, losing our livelihoods, and now there's just such a monkey off their back, such a weight off their back. And they tell me that every day, man. Matter of fact, tonight, before I'm on their podcast, I went bowling, and I bowled with a lot of these guys, man, from Findlay, Ohio, and that work at Marathon Oil. And they're like, dude, man, we are so lifted and glorious of God and everything, man. We like somebody's put a light on our shoulders, man, for all this. This is awesome. And these guys they're for real. That's what their livelihoods are, is working in the fossil fuel industry, man. And that's exactly what it is. And I live it every day. And when I wrote one term, a lot of those guys were on the cover of the books for endorsement quotes and stuff like that. These guys that work for the fossil fuel industry. And they're like, man, this is awesome. Now, as far as the religion point of it, hey, the guy got shot. Okay. To your listeners out there and to the viewers and for you, let's not bullshit each other. The guy got shot. If he didn't turn his head in a certain degree at a certain time, he would have took a 5.56 round or 2.23 in the civilian terms in the temple of the right side of his head. Okay, he would have been killed. Somebody, some epitaph or whatever you want to call it, somebody did not want that man to die. Because if that would have been you and I out there, and we're talking to the audience, I mean, can you imagine? He just turned his head not even 45 degrees. And I mean, it's still hitting. But can you imagine that would have went into the right side of his temple?
So I call that a miracle. I've written articles about it, why I think it's a miracle. One of the things you got to understand about me is my primary spiritual practice is A Course in Miracles. Okay. So I'm always looking for miracles. Okay. Always. It's using the principles of Jesus. It's in the Bible and the New Testament and the red words, and it's kind of expounded here, and it's really neat, right? I've seen 2 miracles that have happened really recently that were kind of weird. You know, one of them, of course, is Trump's ear, right? That guy didn't start shooting bullets and spray the crowd and kill some people. That guy didn't shoot Trump in the ankle. That guy didn't shoot Trump in the arm or the hand, okay, or even the chest. He didn't shoot a bullet off into La La Land somewhere. No, he shot a bullet and it hit his ear. What is more prophetic, biblical than that, right? What is more symbolic than that? Of all the space of a bullet to go, of all of the space that the people and everything can intersect, right there at the ear. And now you can barely apparently see it, right? But in the moment, I mean, I don't know how, I just don't know how miraculous that is. Okay. And then I want to talk about another kind of miracle, and it's very personal, a miracle, this miracle. And it's not but I'll tell you, this kid that the miracle went against will remember it for the rest of his life. So one of the things that my mom and dad and I have done our whole life is watch the Auburn football game. And last night was the Auburn and Texas A&M football game.
Right. And
I was over here, but we weren't hanging out at that moment. I was up here in the studio doing some stuff. And and then Penny was with me, and then she went home right as the game I was expecting to get lopsided and go. Well, it ended up going to overtime. So we went into overtime. I went and poured a beer, grabbed my bowl of peanuts, and went down there and hung out with mom and dad, right? And so we're sitting there watching, and I don't know, it just felt like there was supposed to be a miracle for Auburn to win, for the fan base, for just a little bit of pride in the world or something. I don't know. I don't know what of a college football fan you are. But at Auburn got robbed. I mean, big time robbed with a penalty for, illegal block or illegal screen, and got a touchdown called back. And they messed around and got all the way down and scored and caught a miracle in the end zone. And then Texas A&M, here's the opposite miracle. Texas A&M had a receiver that had gotten up every morning, okay, and ate his Wheaties and ate his Cheerios and ran his wind sprints and caught his balls and caught his balls and caught his balls and did his blocking drills and caught his balls. And all of a sudden, here he is in the end zone right at the end of the game, his chance to be a hero. The ball hits him in his hands, and it just doesn't connect, right? You couldn't have thrown it any better. I'm telling you, somehow, some miracle system allowed that to happen in some way, okay? And again, I'm not against that young man that dropped the ball. I'm telling you, something worked against him in that moment, that he wasn't going to catch that ball in that moment.
Right.
That's the way I think the world works sometimes, for those who believe that all things work, for good somehow. It's the way you look at it and the way you see it. I don't know who was to get the good, but for me, it was for my good last night when I got to cheer with my mom and dad and have my team. So the miracle can be for me and only me. And I enjoyed that miracle last night.
Awesome. Perfect. Same thing. Donald Trump was supposed to be murdered that day.
Yeah, right.
He was supposed to get killed. It didn't happen. He was supposed to get a bullet, and we all watched it live. My wife was in the she was in the shower, and she came out. She was getting changed, and I was watching it live when he got shot, and I started freaking out. I was like, "Oh my God, they shot him! They shot him! They got him!" And she come running out of the bedroom, and she's like, "What happened? What happened?" I was like, "They shot him! They shot him! I knew it was going to happen." And yeah, he was supposed to be killed, and it didn't happen. So we can think about all that, and then we sit back and realize where we're going to go from here, and maybe God has a purpose that United States of America is going to persevere back to being the best nation in the world, to help other nations and help ourselves. That's the way I look at it.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, sir. Amen. Big time.
So tell me what the next step for you what you think was happening. So what's the next thing maybe you're concerned about? We talked about the impending war by shooting missiles back and forth, and I told you I thought that the defense contractors were a part of it. Oh, I did. I talk to you about my. Let me just tell you, so my buddy that is read into the UFO program and in the Pentagon. Basically, he tells me he can't do any kind of podcast. I can't do anything. So he's like, they won't let me talk. They're shutting me up, and I'm like, all right, I get it. Basically, they're like, we have to do our own messaging, and it's neat. I tell you what, I did do. Did you happen to watch? The podcast that I did with the other night about how to help in the community on Friday night?
I
You didn't make it?
I didn't make it, dude. No, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and it was really neat. It was really neat. We spent about an hour and 20 minutes talking about how we thought we might could help in our community, right? And it was neat to talk. We had one of my former soldiers on that had previously tried to commit suicide. She shot herself in the head, but she kind of missed a little bit, and we think that's a miracle. And she's with us today, and she's still doing good. And we had some good news stories. One of my friends that I got help with from middle school that I put in a program 2 years ago. She's 2 years sober this month, and she's working and doing good.
Good for her.
I'm so proud of her. She texted me. She's like, "I pay off my fines next month." She called me from jail. She was a middle school friend of mine.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome, man.
She had nobody else to turn to, and we were able to get her. I'm so proud of her. It's so crazy to think about. I was talking with mom and dad the other day about how do you help? What do you do? What is that? And I ended up putting her up in a hotel room for a little while, but we got her in the program, and she's still doing so good. So we're supposed to go to lunch next week. So
that's awesome. Good for you, man, and good job.
Well, Nathan, it's been good to hang out. Why don't you give me a closing statement here about what you're thinking about, what you're excited about, and we'll call it a night.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. I tell you what I'm excited about. We have a bright future coming to our country, for our military, for our country as a whole. Okay, economically, financially, our military status is going to go back up to where it should be at one time. Recruitment, I'm excited about recruitment, getting these young kids because I'm a school teacher and I see these young kids and they're athletes and they go for athletic possibilities, beyond, above and beyond, but I don't hear them ever talk about going into the military and stuff like that. But you know what, man? We can get there again like we used to. If you remember back in the day, you would watch a Saturday afternoon college football game, and every commercial was be all that you can be in the army. And then you'd watch boom, 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 the few, the proud, the Marines. I mean, you don't see that no more, man.
But that don't sell no more.
I
That
understand that, but
isn't.
it could. But it could.
Well, I don't. So that's the problem. So here's one of the problems. Okay, one of the problems is you're not going to get me to fight for the establishment anymore, right? If you are joining the military now, you understand the risks, and it's your ticket to the middle class.
Right.
I have a son-in-law that I recommend to go to the military. It's his ticket to the middle class. I don't think he's going to die in the military. I think he'd be okay. Okay, like the world, But we all take all kinds of risks and all kinds of things. Okay, but if I'm really thinking, in the long term, I will tell you that I would be much less likely to recommend somebody to go and join our army today than the one we joined. There was we were all brainwashed. We were well CIA'd. Okay, we would go fight Ivan anywhere. They had us locked stock and barrel with the be all that you can. We were ready to go on an adventure. It meant, for me and you to go jump out of airplanes in the middle of the night and put our MVGs on and play. We did a lot of LARPing, a lot of high level LARPing, and we enjoyed that stuff. We loved it. We loved testing ourselves as men, and we loved the camaraderie that come with the shared victories and the agony of those defeats, and trying to figure out what worked and didn't work. If we didn't have, I'll tell you this, if I didn't join the military and do the things that I did, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm just proud that I did the things that I was called to do and the times that I was called to do them in the military, because I learned so much about myself. I think I contributed so much, and I know that I had, men and women around me that were working as hard or harder than I was.
Yeah. Um, I tell you what, our generation, that's how we got into the middle class status, was joining the military. I've said it before on previous podcasts of yours and shows that we've been on together already thus far. I've said numerous times, I was like, man, there's there's no way that I would be the status that I am today, I consider myself upper middle class, myself and my wife, without the military. Um, and that's just a reality. To the prod the problem is to get these kids, these high school kids nowadays, to get them in the mindset to have that camaraderie to join a military or to do something above themselves. That's the challenge. So it's a challenge. But I'm not a recruiter. Uh, I'm a school teacher, and I just tell them, "Hey, man, look at my pictures on the wall, and look at my posters and stuff like that. And if any of you want to talk to me, I'll talk to you about the military. I'll tell you the realities of it. Read my books. And I'll get you to the reality of what you need. Like I said, man, last year, high school class 2024, we had one student, one male senior that joined the military. That was it. Yeah. And that's it, man. We don't get them no more. And the problem is, unfortunately, the problem is we see a lot of these commercials nowadays where they see maimed human beings that served, in the last 20 years in the global war on terrorism. Man, they're coming home with no arms, no legs, burned up, and they're maimed. And a lot of parents and a lot of teachers or a lot of students, they look at that and they don't want to be part of that. That's what I'm going back to. Back in our day, it was be strong, fight for your country, and but we don't see that no more. So maybe it'll change, and hopefully it will.
All right, love you, man. Good night, everybody. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Love you, man. Take care.